Showcasing local talent, professionals, and everyday people making Salt Lake City what it is today. It's time for another episode of the I Am Salt Lake podcast.
Hey everybody, Chris Hollifield here, host of I Am Salt Lake podcast. Hopefully you all had a great weekend. You're ready for the week ahead. Just want to give you a really quick introduction to this episode. What you're about to listen to as is something a little bit different, something I haven't done with I Am Salt Lake podcast. This is a live recording that happened Friday, March 11th, part of Connect at the Urban Arts Gallery. We're going to be doing these once a month where I have a panel discussion with some of the local artists, find out their thoughts on art, creativity, some different subject matter. You'll be hearing that here in the recording in just a minute. Before I do jump into this episode, though, I want to tell you about Oleo Skin and Beard. Oleoskin.com is where you can go and find out about all their products. They got some great skin oils, beard balms, beard washes. I'm a big fan of the beard washes. Oleoskin.com. Use the promo code IAMSaltLake where you can purchase your products. Great local company from Salt Lake City that you should give them some support. So, like I said, this is a live recording. It would happen Friday, March 11th. Part of Connect at the Urban Arts Gallery. Zach Franzoni joined me, Kate Kilpatrick-Miller, as well as a whole slew of the audience. I had some great responses to some of the questions that I asked. So follow me on Facebook, Twitter, I Am Salt Lake. IamSaltLake.com is the website where you can find all the different links to reach out and get in touch with me. You can listen to all the podcast episodes right there on the website. Podcast is available on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, however you listen to podcasts. So with that being said, here is the live recording from the March 11th Connect.
Okay, well, welcome out to Connect, everybody. This is going to be our first podcast. Super excited about that. I will try as much to not speak about anything and let everything be in the hands of the master, Chris, here. But as far as Connect, we believe creativity can change the world. I'm going to say that again because I flubbed it. We believe creativity can change the world. We use creativity to build community infrastructure, enabling more people to be creative. Every month we hold free open call art events where all visual artists can engage with their community and share their genius. So that's a little bit about what Connect is. A couple of announcements for the Utah Arts Alliance, whose program this is the Imaginal Love art exhibit at the Urban Arts Gallery, featuring collaborative works by husband and wife team Martin Stensas and Sonny Strasberg, and local graffiti artist Benjamin Weimeyer. Join us Gallery Stroll March 18th, 6 to 9 p.m. Then, of course, we have Love Utah, Give Utah. Please support Utah Arts Alliance. Search Utah Arts Alliance on www.loveutahgiveutah.razoo.com. And then... I heard a laugh in there, I'm not sure why. First Connect. Okay, so next week we're going to be having our first Connect Learn event, which is a Connect but a class theme. So we're actually going to be learning something. March 17th at Poor Yorick Studios. We have openings for up to 8 artists right now. So if you're interested, talk to me afterwards. That'll be led by the instructor, Troy Forbish. And also on that note, everyone here who has art, or anyone who is here, period, is eligible to get their art in a sticker machine that's going to be put throughout the town here. So if you want to get your art out there immediately, then we can hook you up with that. Please talk with me afterwards. We can set you up with that. And lastly, I'd like to thank our sponsors, Utah Cultural Alliance, Zoo Arts and Parks, Xmission, now playing Utah.com, Salt Lake City Arts Council, Utah Arts and Museums, George S. Delors and Eccles Foundation, and the Gateway. As you can see, I'm trying to go as fast as I can because this is not about me right now. Well, technically, it kind of is. Kate Kelly, would you like to announce a little bit about what you came here to talk about?
Hi, guys. I'm Kate Kelly. I am probably not the Kate Kelly that you are thinking of. So I'm here with Jabberwocky Magazine. It's a completely new magazine in Salt Lake City, and it is independently run, and it is an art-focused magazine that is by artists and for artists. The first issue is scheduled to come out super soon, March 25th, so this month in like a couple weeks. Jabberwocky Magazine celebrates all mediums of art and culture, and so if it's possible to print it, we can print it. If you can take a picture, we can print it. So that includes sculptures and things like that. We are always accepting submissions. And currently, for this issue, we're doing a Draw the Jabberwocky contest. And if you don't know, the Jabberwocky is a mythical creature from a Lewis Carroll poem. And Lewis Carroll, if you also don't know, is the man who wrote Alice in Wonderland. So we are currently doing a Draw the Jabberwocky contest that is ongoing. And we are currently looking for this issue to interview street artists. I am aware that this is a sensitive topic, and we are very, very interested in respecting the anonymity of the street artist. But we are kind of hoping to change perception a little bit about street art in Utah, and perhaps make it a little less illegal. Get a little more art visible around the city. So look for Jabberwocky out March 25th. It will be available everywhere, pretty much. It is free. Lots of art. And if you want to submit, the way that you submit is at jabberwockymag@gmail.com, and that is spelled J, capital J, A, B, B, E, R, W, O, C, K, Y, M, A, G @gmail.com. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you so much, Kate Kelly. I want to welcome everybody out tonight. This is a great opportunity for myself and for the podcast, I Am Salt Lake Podcast. We're recording this, like Michael said, it will be up and available, and everybody's welcome to share it. It'll be on iTunes. IamSaltLake.com is the website. This is something different. I've never done anything like this, so bear with me. I'm just kind of going to have fun with it tonight, and hopefully, I think we're going to be doing this monthly if he invites me back after tonight. But I have two great panelists on the show tonight. I'm going to introduce them really quickly, and then we're going to go into some questions. And what I'm hoping will happen is just kind of a conversation, some dialogue, and then we'll open it up actually where Kate is sitting for audience. People can, or you're more than welcome to stay there and sit and join in as well. But let me introduce our panelists this evening. The first panelist is Kate Kilpatrick-Miller. She was born in 1971 in Salt Lake City, Utah. She graduated from Westminster College in 1995 as a double major with a Bachelor of Science in Art and Psychology. As often happens, she found herself in an unfulfilling career, longing to support herself and her family as an artist. After attending a John Erickson Helper workshop, she relocated as an intern with David Doran and most recently serving as his assistant. Her artistic education is ongoing, working closely with David and others in the community. Reflecting 4 years into this journey, her personal landscape continues to evolve and is expressed in her art. Kate's artistic journey is ongoing, studies of perspective populating early work to a newfound desire today to paint more freely when applying paint to canvas. She continues to wake up every day excited to be where she is, doing what she does, and exploring art. Kate understands the importance of supporting her community and has taken part in numerous outreach programs within the local schools and community at large. Most recently, she's been named co-director of the Helper Arts Music and excited to announce in Film Festival. And I've actually visited you in Helper.
Yes, you did.
So you have a great place out there. So I'm glad to have you part of tonight's show. And then I have Zach Franzoni. Happy to have somebody else on the panel with a beard, so I'm not all alone up here. But he is an artist and an educator. He's originally from Detroit. He moved to Salt Lake City pursuing an education, eventually earning a Master's of Education from the University of Utah. Currently, he combines his life as an artist and his love for education to primarily work with youth in the community. He currently serves on the board of Mestizo Institute of Culture and Arts, as well as working with groups such as Latinos in Action, Mestizos Arts and Activism in the Salt Lake City Pure Court. That sounds pretty cool, man. So anyway, like I said, we'll get going here. First question I'm actually going to ask is what inspires you as an artist? Who wants to start with that?
There's a...
And hold them, if you can get the microphone just for the recording.
Absolutely.
As close to the...
There is a great deal that inspires me in the world. I'm inspired most by various forms of suffering around the world. My undergraduate degree was in ethnic studies and social justice, so I studied a lot of different forms of institutional and structural forms of oppression, right? Although my work focuses a lot on identity, it provides social commentary on things like racism and classism and...
A little bit higher, maybe like...
Sorry. Yeah, I just want to... For the best recording there.
And so I find these mechanisms, these power structures very intriguing. And I address them a lot in my work, and I also address them a lot with the youth that I work with, particularly in the communities that I work in, Rose Park, Glendale, Poplar Grove. So that's my primary form of inspiration, but I'm also inspired by just making the world a more beautiful place. I think, particularly here in Utah, we spoke briefly about street art in Utah and how it's not very prevalent, right? And I think that's a shame because there's a lot of places in the world with great public art, and I think it really, it's just a better world to live in, right? When you can just splash color up on walls and on the street. And to me, art is social and it's public and it should be shared with people. And that's what inspires me is to just get out into the world and just make it more bearable.
For me, what inspires me, not expires me, is the visual and the energy and color. I'm a very visual person. I agree that, I have found in my life and hard times I've been through that art is what's pulled me through. Actually, I met with a gentleman through the Mexican consulate just today, and he said, you know what? Hip-hop saved my life. I know I sound like a song, but it's true, and I didn't have the time to get the story behind that, but I thought that was a beautiful thing, and art does save people's lives, and that's inspiring. But actually, one of the most inspiring things for me is to walk outside my door and see the book cliffs right there in Helper.
That's a beautiful spot out there.
Oh, yeah, the light hits that, and the pinks, and it's just amazing.
Do you feel like when you're in surroundings like that, that really helps your creativity side?
It does me, yes.
Yeah.
And I'm one that, I'll walk my dog and I don't want to listen to anything because I just want to get all the visual in so I can think about my art and what's going on without music or other things going on in my head.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. We spoke just briefly before this about how you come from a more rural space. I come from Detroit here to Salt Lake on the west side. I'm so inspired by landscapes, right? The urban landscape, where you are definitely more inspired by the natural landscape. But it is the aesthetic of whatever landscape you're in that I think truly drives your art. And
I would agree. Yeah.
So Zach, when you moved here from Detroit, what was the biggest difference that you noticed in the art community?
Well, that there wasn't a huge community here, right? And in Detroit, there's tons of organizations and efforts, grassroots efforts, to really make the city a beautiful place. And here, there are great spaces, the Urban Arts Gallery, Mestizo Gallery, Sorensen, all over the city. There's great little niches that support the art movement here in Salt Lake and in Utah in general. But Utah has a very interesting social and political culture, right? And so I think, especially here in Salt Lake, our local arts movement is very resistant to, I think, the larger forces at hand, the larger social and political forces that our artists face and provide social commentary through their pieces. But, it's radically different. We have a very different history, very different set of demographics here in Salt Lake City, and so different histories and experiences. But it's wonderful to experience both of those
just
spaces.
Art in a different state, community, the whole
Absolutely.
Line. Is there anybody in the audience, that wants to even chime in on what inspires them as an artist? Maybe that will help. Anybody in the audience want to chime in or no? Or if you want to come up to the microphone and even introduce yourself a little bit.
I'm Soraya Dendera. I feel like one of the most powerful things that we can use to inspire ourselves are other people's creative output, whether that be literature or other 2D media or whatever, or whether it's graffiti. I think that graffiti in and of itself is really, really profound. I find that very inspiring because the artists, they're putting their canvas up, something that they have to accept that this is going to be very impermanent. This could be gone the next time they're there. And I don't know about you guys, but a lot of the stuff I make, if I know that it's going to be gone, oh man, that's heartbreaking. Those are my children, the things that I make, right? So I find that very profound, and I think that strength in and of itself is inspiring.
I didn't catch your name. What was your name again?
Soraya Dendera.
Excellent. Thank you. Anybody else want to chime in? Come on up.
Do I have to stand?
Or you could sit. I don't know if there's
Can I just sit right here?
Yeah, there we go.
I hate standing.
And hold that microphone.
Okay, I got you.
There you go.
Hi, I'm Megan Beckham, and I had no idea that we had stuff like this. I own a fashion magazine in Utah, and what inspires me is...
What's a fashion magazine?
Yeah.
What's the magazine?
It's called Vox Magazine.
Excellent.
VOX, yeah. It's the only one in Utah, so we don't have any fashion magazines. Anyways, I've found that something that inspires me is reinvention, kind of looking back to the past and taking the pieces of past experiences and kind of twisting it to the future. I don't know, that sounds kind of weird, but it's revolutionizing the past into a completely...
Sorry, could you trade seats?
Oh, yeah.
Triggering our squeak.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, we're trying to figure out why the microphone is squealing. We're amateurs doing
My
this.
energy's too high.
There you go.
But yeah, the past is very inspiring to me. But also twisting it in a way, kind of creeping people out with it. I don't know, that sounds really weird. But also just people around you, I think it's good to find something beautiful about the people in your life and amplify it.
I love it. Anybody else want to chime in while we're talking about inspiration, what inspires you, what motivates you to create art? We have another...
Yeah, I really liked her previous comment about reinvention and this capacity that art has to truly reimagine how we live in our world and how we want our future to look like. It's truly has the potential to be liberating.
Absolutely. Looks like we have somebody else joined us up here.
My name is Kevin Mahaffey.
Thank you.
Also known as Nutty Bear.
Thank you for joining us tonight.
And I kind of take umbrage with having doing art from a sad place. I'm a happy art type of person, and also I'm from Emory County. You're forgiven. And there is so much beauty in being in that happy place, and it makes art flow out. And I have done art in pain, and it does work. But I think actually the better work comes from art that dwells in happiness rather than sadness.
Thank you for chiming in there.
Yeah, I think some of the most profound pieces of artwork do come from these extremes of emotions and experiences, right? I think a lot of artists experience these super debilitating times of depression and anxiety and fear and anger and kind of perpetually going through this existential crisis, right? But I think some of the lowest points are also balanced by the actual creative process, which is, to me, very meditative. It's a time for me to reflect, which is a catalyst for joy and happiness and harmony within myself.
I'd like to actually add on to that and say that I think what really inspires me to create art, even when it's really hard and I'm really self-critical, is the feeling I get when I'm creating art. It's just, there's nothing else that feels like creating art, whether it's painting or whatever.
Can you describe that feeling at all? Just its own feeling.
It's its own feeling.
Yeah,
I agree. It's the feeling of making something that has never existed before is truly empowering. And I work a lot with youth, and I think for them that is something, as an educator, to be very transparent about, is that you are creating something that has never existed before, and that is special. That is truly special.
Well, and I think it's a really beautiful way to express something that you can't really express otherwise. You can't really, you can say words to express how you're feeling, but putting it down on canvas is a very different thing that can express what you're feeling in a very different way.
It's that experience where, and I'm sure you artists here, you're starting a painting or a sculpture, and then you have an itch and you realize it's 5 hours later because you're in that meditative, it's your soul coming out. And I think that's why it's so difficult for artists to put their stuff out there, like someone said, their babies and such, and to have it out there and say, I was talking to Michael and say it's like standing out there naked. How do I look? It's really a difficult thing, but it's a beautiful thing too.
Do you have a lot of art pieces that you have a hard time parting with? Then you mentioned them as your babies, kind of.
There are some, yes, but it also puts food on the table, so
Absolutely.
It's kind
so
of
you have to kind of be like, okay, this is going to pay the bills.
Yeah, but there are some. Well, there's some. I've seen some out on the tables tonight, not for sale, and I understand that too. There's some you just hold on to.
Another question. Next question is how can art make a difference in society?
I think. Back in the days when we lived in caves, we were trying to take control of these animals that we were going to go out and hunt for food or whatever. And so we would draw them on these caves because we felt there was some sort of a spiritual connection or something. There's all sorts of thoughts and theories out there. And I think, how does it change community? It changes everything. For me, right now, doing the Helper Arts Festival, I'm trying to promote economic development. Helper it's named because of the Helper engines that they had to use to get the coal up Soldier Summit and into Salt Lake. Well, as we all well know, we're not using that much coal anymore. So we have some economic downturns in that county and other outlying economies. But, there is an enclave of artists there. They've come in. They're starting to build that area, put out galleries in. We've got the Arts Festival. And actually, that festival brings in so much energy to this community that could have been a ghost town. Is
the community there pretty supportive of the arts then?
Yes.
As a whole?
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Anything you want to chime in there?
I think, coming from Detroit, I'm extremely influenced by graffiti art. That's how I started as an artist. And when we dig into the roots of graffiti art, we see, a group of young people who were, systematically marginalized, right? Communities of colors that were displaced by a series of policies and practices. And what was birthed was a beautiful form of art, right? Hip-hop is this multifaceted, set of expressions from young people, and not only does it give a platform for young people to say something and tell the world that they have a voice, right? But it's also a platform to critique society and to provide that social commentary that I think is so important, particularly in a space that claims to be democratic, right? Which is really ironic, but it has that potential to really, truly build community.
Talking about street art, so I actually just moved from Denver. I lived here before, but I moved from Denver a few months ago, and I lived in a district called the Rhino District. It was an art district, and new murals would pop up once a month, and the one thing that I really noticed is how happy it made people to just see art all the time. Local art on the walls of everything. It increased business popularity. It was a beautiful, beautiful thing. I have a theory that when we see something beautiful, our serotonin increases. And I think that, it's just a theory, I haven't really done much research on it, but I think that it really applies to art, And if it's disturbing, maybe we needed to think about something,
Anybody from the audience want to chime in and join us here in the conversation? If you want to slide forward just a little bit there, just because our microphone cords aren't very long. What say your name real quick?
Alan Phelps.
Actually, is the microphone on? There we go.
Yeah, there goes. Alan Phelps. And I just want to give a brief history lesson, something I learned, and I got a little bit more detail from my mom in Idaho when I visited her recently. My great-grandfather was a master printer in Sweden.
Right on.
At the beginning of the 19th century. And he was quite well known in Europe, so much that before World War I, the Kaiser in Germany actually tried to corner him to come to work for him. He never made it. World War I happen instead. But the love story was he was a talented painter and artist, but he was colorblind. So when he was a young printer learning the ropes, my great-grandmother happened to be working at the same place, and she sat at his side by the easel, by the paints, and instructed him which colors to use. Now, I was looking at my mom's collection of postcards and other small posters at the actual entities, the things that he had done, with a real fine paintbrush and painted people and scenes and architecture and the like, and very, very detailed, very realistic looking, and knowing that it wasn't just one artist, it was a team.
That's awesome. Thank you. Anybody else from the audience want to join us up here? Come on up.
So my name is Hannah Collette. My dad is a graphic designer, and so he's very good at art. And unfortunately, my brother got the art gene. So, of course, I'm sitting here doing absolutely nothing. But to just, go into, this is like a museum. To look at, all the interesting things that people can, create. I've been looking for, a tattoo idea for so long of, a cat head. Just, a cat with, all these designs in it. And, I don't know, it's very interesting to look at people's ideas of different types of things. It's very inspiring, and it makes me I try to draw all the time, and it's it turns out so awful because I don't have the art gene, but it's very inspiring, and it going into places like this really just kind of brightens up my day, and I feel it brightens up everybody's day a little bit to just look at things that people can create, and just I don't know.
You mentioned that you don't have the art gene, though. I mean,
yeah.
Just keep doing it. I mean, do you feel what about you, Zach? Do you feel you need to have an art gene?
I think everyone has this seed of creativity inside them, right?
Definitely.
And every seed needs a right balance of water and soil and air and the sun, right? And when it comes to creativity, right, I think those forms of nutrients, right, come from your family, right, your friends, educators, and your community, right? And I think if you have a nice, delicate balance of those things, I think anyone can really nurture that seed of creativity, and you can be a nice, healthy tree of 100%, expression, right?
Like, when I was younger, I used to, like, create families, like they'd have, like, their own individual last name, like Isabel so-and-so, blah, blah, so-and-so, like, and they would all, like, I would try to make them look alike, and then they'd have their friends, which would be another family. So, like, of course there's, like, that seed of, like, creativity, like, with, like, every little piece, like, whether that person has an artistic taste or not, like, it's gonna come down, like, because everyone has, like, their own individual, like, little tiny piece of
absolutely, yeah.
You know
just keep practicing. If you don't think you're good at drawing, this is another thing is when you're practicing and you're a so-called beginner, right? You know, you can't compare yourself to other people and other artists, right? And particularly artists that are, like, profound and very well known, right? Because they went through years. There's so many canvases and thrown away pieces of paper and you know, just things that people never see from great artists, right? Because it's that practice. So I would just encourage you to.
Well, and there's so many different ways to,
absolutely,
you know, different
express
mediums of art,
yeah,
you know, and get it out there.
I think it's a misnomer to think, I mean, I think people have a predisposition to something, but to say that someone has an art gene or a talent, I remember sitting in a John Erickson class and a couple of ladies behind me, and he was doing a demonstration, and I heard them say, "Oh, that's magic." And I said, "No, actually, that's 30 to 40 years of hard work and practice. So if there's something that you really want to do," and what I would say, and I've had people say to me, "You know, I'd really like to be an artist, but I can't draw a straight line to save my soul." And I said, "Well, I can't either, but I use a ruler." So, you know, you just, I guess it's back to that 10,000 hours that's been running around. If you've heard that, if you want to master something, you work at it for that 10,000 hours. And that's not going and buying those cool art supplies at the art store that we all do. And it's not sitting there crying over a painting or a sculpture that's not working. No, it's getting your hands dirty and working on it. That's what I would say.
You know, and the other thing, too, is art is subjective. Some of the pieces that I have just despised and struggled with so much, and just I'll look at this one part of it and be like, "Oh, I hate that." Some of my friends will be like, "That's the best thing. I love it. How long? Yeah, that's great." You know, people see great things in things that you don't see great things in. You know, so
those are the ones that sell. Yeah. The paintings that I like the least are the ones that sell. I don't get it. So
you can keep the ones that mean something.
Yeah, exactly. It's perfect.
Anybody else from the audience want to chime in on that at all?
Thank you.
I'm loving the audience questions and the audience jumping in. Oh, it looks like come on up here. You can come up here too.
I definitely think it's really interesting what she's talking about regarding like a creative gene. I feel like you're a kindred spirit, by the way, because I'm constantly telling people that it's like this level of mastery. It's not a talent, it's a skill. But like human beings as a species, we have like this capability for abstraction that, you know, other animals just don't really have. Like, I mean, we created money and language and like all of these bizarre things. So, I mean, like if you can create something bizarre, then that's like your art, you know? And like a lot of times people think that these great artists were so great because you only see the good things that they did. You don't know that they like cried and burned all of the stuff that was their practice, you know? It's definitely like the daily increase in your skill in that practice, and at the same time the daily decrease. I mean, I don't think that like that self-censure, that, you know, that balancing act between complete narcissism and utter self-doubt ever fully goes away. It just gets easier to navigate, I think.
And there was a master, I don't remember, forgive me, it was Monet, Cézanne, one of those, that he would get so angry he would throw his paintings up in the trees, and people would go by and grab his paintings. So
I have a
thought.
number of paintings that ended up in the dumpster, and so if you work at the dump, then you might have an oil painting from me.
Yeah.
It's very likely.
100 years from now, it could be worth quite a bit.
So I just
say your name real quick.
My name is Doug Tolman.
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, I'll just give the disclaimer first that I'm not necessarily a part of it, but I wanted to give a plug for tomorrow for anyone that wants to start putting that creative gene out there. There is a mural painting happening just a block south of us at the Road Home.
Oh, nice.
From 9 to 10 or from 9 to 12 in the morning at the Road Home tomorrow. So for people who would like to start getting their creative gene out there, like you were talking about earlier, seeing a lack of this organized street art and this organized creative outlet, I think it would be a good opportunity for a lot of people. So, yeah, just a little plug.
Excellent. Anything else? Or that? I guess that's it for right. That was your plug.
Yeah.
All right. Excellent. Anybody else from the audience want to join us? We got another. Oh, come on, come up. You're fine.
Let me do one more plug.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
With the Arts Festival, we will be doing a competition around street art, and there will be a purse. So if you are interested in that, you should get with me. And if you don't know how to get with me, Michael can get with me. But we will be doing a competition in that regard. So let us know.
Awesome.
Cool.
And say, I know you said your name earlier, but you're joining us again just for the recording's sake. For people listening, because since this will be a recording.
Okay. Hi again. I'm Megan Beckham. I feel so weird saying that.
You're fine.
So I wanted to dabble into the question that you actually had said before we went on that tangent about how art helps a community or something like that. Was that what it was?
It was how art can make a difference.
In
your community or society.
For me, I think as human beings, we're tied to a lot of chains in our life and boxes, right? As the artist, we're constantly trying to free ourselves from these chains. I think what it does is it helps free us. And I think over the history of the United States or even the world, we've been fighting for freedom, for a voice, right? We want to be heard, and I think that's what art does for us, is it creates an outlet to be free.
Awesome, thank you. Anybody else from the audience want to chime in?
Speaking of freedom, I'm starting to work with NAMI, National Association for Mental Illness. They're starting to work down in those rural areas. And, talking about freedom and understanding and having a voice, they work a lot with younger people who are fighting with those type of challenges, and they're doing art and selling their art. And so, when you say, how does it help a community, change a community, any which way?
Absolutely. Who has the right to censor art, or does anybody? That's a big loaded question.
I think the artist censors themselves so much in so many ways. I don't.
How so?
Well, myself, I put a stroke down, and I may have a little temper tantrum like a 5-year-old, or I may like it, and I may rub it out. I think they censor what they do, and to have someone else. When your art is your soul, and for a lot of artists it is, and for someone to come and say, your soul's not right, that should not be out there, I think that is wrong. I would say that really there isn't, I don't think anybody should censor it, but, that's kind of a crazy artist view, so.
No, I would totally agree. I don't think it's appropriate to suppress any kind of expression that we have, whether it's through visual arts or music or writing, or I think everyone as humans has the basic right to express themselves in any form that they want, and if that upsets and causes tension or friction socially or politically, I think then you're doing something correct, right? Mm-hmm. Because if you're an artist and everyone is for you and everyone is so supportive of your work, but it's not really causing any controversy, I guess, right? Then there's really not a discussion being had, and I think that's what art has the capacity to do, is really manifest these discussions about truly important human issues.
Well, I think that's where the dialogue begins, don't you? That if there's a piece of art and it really gets under someone's skin, that's where, and if it gets under my skin, I say, why is that? What's going on with me? What's that reaction about me, and what are my thoughts or prejudices around whatever's going on there? And I think that's where change in the community begins.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great way to help the audience and the observer, you know, reflect on their own values, their own ideologies. And unfortunately, I think without, you know, a super supportive structure around the observer and the audience, that oftentimes doesn't happen, right? If someone doesn't like something, they do have the right to, you know, walk away and not engage with it. But to really you know, nurture this dialogue is fantastic, and art really does have that potential.
Awesome. Anybody from the audience want to chime in on that? Got a gentleman in the back there. Come on forward. Got a microphone over here for you. It might need to be turned on. I don't know if you turned it off. And just say your name for...
my name's Jesse Feveryear.
Thank you for joining us.
Oh, thanks for having me up here. So we were talking about censorship.
Sure.
And, you know, I think censorship is a tricky issue, but to me it's kind of everything in the world has hard edges. Movies, go into gaming where there's art for games now, and, you know, the things with hard edges kind of speak to us more. And then you have kind of media that really wants to appeal to everyone, and it gets rid of those hard edges, it shaves it down, and it becomes more of a sedative than a piece of entertainment or art, I feel. So I think leaving the hard edges on art and making sure that the message gets out there is kind of a lot more important than making sure everyone's happy with it. Because if someone's unhappy with it, then maybe instead of blaming the artist, they should blame the reason that the artist was upset or feeling what they were feeling. A violent image doesn't necessarily mean the artist is a violent person. It means that they're pointing out this violence in the world and this travesty to other people, that they need to understand what it is and that it's happening.
Awesome, thank you. Anybody else from the audience want to just and say your name one more, for the audio recording sake?
My name again is Soraya Dendera. I mean, it kind of is an addendum to what Jesse was just saying. I mean, for example, like, he's a glitch artist, like that piece is his right there. I think that talking about censorship kind of adds to the discussion of, like, okay, well, what falls into the classification of art? I mean, because that kind of also is a form of censorship. I mean, when Impressionism very first debuted, people were rioting over that. This is not art. When Cubism was first being a thing, people were like, that is definitely not art. And then you add to the conversation with things like the white canvas, where people are like, that's not art, but it adds to the discussion. So anytime you have that friction, whether it be nudity depicted or violence or absence of depiction in the case of the white canvas, it adds to that discussion. And so to draw that line to be like, this is art and this is not art, you're causing censorship in and of that opinion.
Well, and who is it that censors? And the power that we give that group or those individuals, whatever they are, to censor, that's a concern, societal, you know, community-based, is I'm going to give this group over here the option to say my art is not art? I mean, I'm not sure.
Censorship is oppressive, and I loved your point, and I think, you know, when we censor, or the idea of censorship comes up, we need to collectively really dig down to the roots of how we make meaning of different you know, social mechanisms like art, right? Is how do we make meaning from Cubism or Impressionism, and what language do we assign to that, right? So it's really, censorship needs to have an analytical sort of reflection kind of focused on it, but I loved your point.
We've got a couple more minutes here if anybody else from the audience wants to chime in. Just state your name.
Kate Allen. And it's Kate with a C. I think one of the things that's so interesting about it is how culture plays a part of censorship, because I've lived abroad a fair amount, and when Gauguin came back to France and he had all these depictions of what happened in Tahiti, where it was pretty normal for women to be topless, that was so shocking to the French people and the culture that they couldn't handle it. But now, fast forward, a couple centuries, and now they love the female body. I mean, there's sex everywhere all over France, but they can't handle violence. And you look at America, we can handle violence, but the sex, and you can't have a naked woman selling chocolate. But over there, totally normal.
Yeah. So it's just, based on your community and
so based upon the culture,
your culture
of what's socially acceptable there, because what revolutionized a lot of the things in France was Gauguin coming back and saying, hey, look, this is my experience abroad, and people are like, topless women, whereas now, it's pretty normal to go to the beach in southern France, and topless women, that's the norm.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much.
And that brings up a good question when censorship deals with, the objectification of particular identities, and do we censor that, right? Is that a form of suffering, right? Is objectifying particular identities or genders or races, right? Do we stop that from being published, right?
Or is it celebrating? It's a matter of...
Here, give her the microphone there.
Is it objectifying or is it celebrating? How is it presented and how is it received?
Absolutely.
And the culture, based upon what the social norms are, it will dictate that.
Absolutely. And art has this great opportunity to disrupt and destabilize those norms.
Yeah. That's exactly it. I mean, and then you have the early adopters who come in and say, hey, you know what, why aren't we celebrating this? And that basically made a big shift in the French culture at that point.
Thank you so much. We have time probably if one more person wants to chime in from the audience and come on down.
Give it a shot.
Yeah, come on down. And just say your name.
My name is Darlene Phelps.
How you doing?
My husband was the one up here a little bit ago talking about World War I and his family. And I've been sitting back here thinking, and that last two questions kind of give me an idea of something I saw. And I know a lot of people go, oh, it's just movies. Well, I like taking lines and things from movies. And one of the movies, and I'm sorry that I can't remember the name, but it had a George Clooney in it. And it was supposed to be based on a true story. And it was The Monument Men. That's what it was. Yeah. One of the things that they said in the movie was, the basic thing in the movie was that they were rescuing art. They were an American team, and they went into Germany or wherever they went. I don't remember where all they went. And they were rescuing art. And one of the things that the basic idea I got from there, besides it was really cool that they would be doing that, was if you can squash the art or the artist, you can squash the people. And that's basically what I think I got from the movie was that. And that was kind of what Hitler was trying to do, and censoring and whatever. He was trying to squash the people. And so it was an interesting movie.
Sounds interesting.
And I said, if you don't like everybody's art, well, I don't like everybody's art either. And they sure probably don't like mine, because mine are like stick figures. But
it's still art.
Yeah. And actually mine is, I make hand puppets. So that's my art.
Right on.
So,
isn't that anyway, the beauty of art, that not everyone likes everything?
Right.
That's what's so beautiful about it, in my opinion.
Well, that's what makes it awesome.
And it's great that if you didn't have so many diverse people in the world, we wouldn't have doctors, we wouldn't have police, we wouldn't have firemen. We just have one type of person. So it's really great that we have such a diversity of life.
Absolutely. I think that does it. We're about out of time. Michael's told me I can only go till 8:50. So I want to thank everybody that was involved tonight, Kate and Zach and everybody that came up here and voiced their thoughts. And I had a lot of fun doing this.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Absolutely.
This was wonderful.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much.
But that's going to do it for tonight's podcast. Well, actually, Michael's going to say some more stuff here. He's got some more things he wants to talk about.
Okay, so now we are going to announce, and thank you again, everyone. That was very fascinating. We're going to announce who received the top selection from tonight. Now, we kind of did a little interesting this month. So our guest panelists each picked 5 artists, okay? And then we had our ballot counters pick out just at random, 2 artists. So there's a little bit of a raffle. It's controlled, but there's a little bit of chance in here. So before we get to that, I'm going to say who got the peer selected. And once I say your name, if you could grab your piece and then bring it on up here, and we would like to have you say a little bit about your piece. So I guess there was a 2-way tie here, but so second place technically was Seraphia. Scott Tuckfield. Yes, if you could grab your piece, Seraphia. Congratulations. My bad. And he was just up here, Jesse Fervier. If you want to grab Building Parallels. Giovanni X. If you would like to grab... Wait, is there more than one Giovanni here? Because I thought you spelt your name with a G. No? Okay, if you could grab When the Cube Becomes the Poison and bring it up here. Congratulations. All right, would you like to say a little bit about your piece?
Sure. Okay, yeah, so this is my piece called Seraphic Super Collider Obscured by Clouds. Yeah, which is awesome, right? Let's see. So I've been experimenting with this idea of just using a face, any face, as kind of an architecture, and then giving myself the freedom to just go nuts with it. And in doing so, what I kind of hope to achieve is to kind of achieve a blending or an intersection of our external physical reality with our sort of very rich and more chaotic perhaps, inner reality, and how those things can kind of fuse. And so that's kind of where this started. Yeah, that's good enough.
That's great. All right, Jesse. Congratulations.
Thank you. So my piece is kind of a part 2 almost to one that actually had won last month. Thank you so much. So this is kind of an experimentation into texture and just different printing methods. I really wanted to see how a lot of these would look on really shiny paper, basically. So that's kind of where these started from, and I'll just keep doing more of them.
Awesome.
Congratulations. Giovanni. Congratulations again.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm Giovanni Sumponpokti. This was kind of a tough one. I mean, I had a rough...
Hold it up. That's a beautiful piece.
I guess I had a rough patch in my life, and I just kind of, I don't know how to put this into words really, but I guess in other words, too much of something good can be toxic and kind of give you a downward spiral effect.
Awesome.
Excellent. Very much appreciate that sentiment. Okay, so now are we good? Okay, random selection 1, and again this was like kind of a curated random selection, is Taylor McGuire for 40 watt. If she could please grab that piece and bring it up here. I think I know her. Okay, I think I see her walking around over there. And then we have John Cave, Vows for Kimbra. If you could please bring that piece up here. Oh yeah, I thought I knew you. She's actually my assistant, so I know her pretty well. No, it was totally random, totally random. All right, if you could please say a little bit about your piece, please.
I really like charcoal and gray paper.
And okay, congratulations.
And light bulbs.
And
I love it. Simple.
And bright ideas is what she said. Congratulations, John.
So this is Kimbra. She's a musician from New Zealand, and I just love her music, so it's kind of just kind of fan art, I guess, with some abstract design and expression.
Awesome. Yeah. Congratulations. Okay. So if anyone has any final thoughts to throw on your survey, we request that you please do that. But that is our event for this month, unless Chris has
I want to say one more thing. You can follow the podcast,
yes.
I Am Salt Lake, on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, iamsaltlake.com. That way you can, I've been chatting with a lot of people here in Salt Lake, so feel free to listen to some of the episodes up. It's on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, and then when this becomes available, you'll be notified if you subscribe to the podcast that way. And
thanks for catching that, yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure to say it again for people here.
Yeah, so everyone please give yourself a round of applause. You are Salt Lake, and you are connecting. And we hope to see you next month. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thank you. All right, many thanks goes out to Connect. Many thanks goes out to Michael. Many thanks goes out to the Urban Arts Gallery for letting me do this live recording of I Am Salt Lake there. Hopefully I see you all out at the next one. I'm going to be doing these every month, the second Friday of every month. It's free. Everybody's invited to attend. It's going to be a really cool opportunity for the podcast to grow and kind of get involved in the local Salt Lake City arts community. If you want to send me an email, it's chris@iamsaltlake.com. Let me know what you think of this episode. Let me know if we should do this kind of part of the weekly rotation, if I should do this as a bonus episode, or if you just completely hate it. Let me know your thoughts. Chris@iamsaltlake.com. This podcast is free to subscribe. Feel free. It's in iTunes, Stitcher Radio, however you listen to podcasts. iamsaltlake.com is the website. Head on over there. Click on the support the show. It'll send you to the shop where you can get t-shirts, beer mugs, hoodies, all kinds of great stuff are in there. It's a great way to help keep I Am Salt Lake podcast alive. You all have a great week. Get out, support local, enjoy the city, and we'll catch you again next time.